Hello and welcome back to my channel. How are you all doing? I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to talk about ADHD and mood disorders, stuff like that. My son was diagnosed with that. I honestly kind of think he may just have a mood disorder, but the more I read, the more I learn. Anyways, let's go back to why we took him in to get diagnosed in the first place. So my son had had tantrums very early on that were pretty vicious. As I put him, he would find corners to smack his head in, and I mean sharp edges, not like corners like, like that. I mean this. And we would have to, at a young age, either put him in his car seat or a stroller or something that would hold him, or we'd have to hold him himself. And we really did think that he had autism, and then things kind of changed and he mellowed out a little bit, and we were like, okay, maybe he just really didn't like getting in trouble at that time. Well, come about no, he was 6. He was in school and the temper tantrums came back, and at this time, I had my oldest, Skylar, who has Down syndrome, and I also had our second youngest daughter, Maya, who was 3, and he was throwing things at them and pushing them, and it just was getting really bad. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we went ahead and kind of maintained it at home, trying different things, seeing if maybe spending more time with them. Maybe we weren't spending enough time, and we spent a lot of time with our children. So we were thinking, okay, more one-on-one. My husband took them one-on-one. I took them one-on-one. That wasn't helping, so we realized that wasn't really the situation. He wasn't acting up at school, so we were really kind of lost. Like, why at home? Like, what's going on at home? What's wrong with us? And, there really wasn't anything. And then he went back to this kind of mellow period again, and things were doing okay. So for he was 5. He was 5.5 going into 6. So for the 6th birthday, my friend had asked if she could give him a Wii for his birthday. It was one of hers, it was used, and she had a bunch of sports games. And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty good. I don't want any violent games, as he can act out. So she gave him the Wii and a bunch of sports games, and we got him Mario. I was like, okay, Mario's got to be one of the least violent games I could find out there right now. So, I allowed him to play on it for about an hour, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Maybe a little longer on Saturday, depending on what was going on. We noticed that the behavior was coming back, and it was pretty bad. So as his tantrums progressed, I took it away, so he would have to earn it back. And we were noticing that he wasn't working to get it back, and so I started going through his shows and kind of taking shows away, and that, between the system and that being taken away, things were getting better, but not perfect. And nothing's ever perfect, so don't think that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is not perfect as I've never heard a child tell their parents at 5.5 that they want to kill themselves. They want to jump out of a plane without a parachute. And that still makes me want to cry. But the whole story, so I had taken the Wii away again, and this time it was for a little longer term. I had taken a few shows away that he really enjoyed watching, but were, how do I put it, a little too violent for him. And he tells me straight in the face, he goes, I hate my life, I just want to jump out of a plane without a parachute. And I was like, at first I was like, okay, well, that's not, I was like, okay, I know you're mad. And he looks me straight in the face and he goes, do you know what happens when you jump out of a plane without a parachute? And I was like, You fly? I'm hoping, he's 5.5. He's going to have imagination. He's going to tell me he's going to fly. No. He looks at me and he goes, you fall to the ground and you die. Your bones crush and you bleed and you die. And that's what I want. I was like, what? Excuse me? But what? What did you say? Did you really just say that? So I sat down with him and I was like, honey, death, you don't come back if you die. This is not like, in a show or whatever. When you die, you die. Like, you're gone. So it progressed more, and he would say other things, like he wanted to cut himself, and me and my husband don't watch anything of that sort around our children. Like, we don't watch, well, at that time we didn't watch any anti-bullying stuff, anything around our children, just because I didn't want that influence on them. I was very, very precautious on the shows that they watched. It was a lot of Disney shows and a lot of, I had taken Nick away pretty much, except for like 3 shows, and we just couldn't figure it out, so I asked the school he was hanging out with, and the kids he was hanging out with were very nice, sweet children. I met them myself. Ooh, hi. And anyways, we ended up moving to where we're at now, and we knew that that would probably bring on a whole nother ballgame, which it did. It did. He was okay at first, and then probably a month and a half later, which, again, is probably with his mood disorder, he just didn't, he couldn't cope. He couldn't cope. He missed his friends. He had new friends, but I guess he didn't like them as much. And he started to try to, his tantrums were escalating. And he was attacking the girls, and I mean attacking. He was running after the girls, and he was throwing things and trying to hit them and smash them under mattresses, and just it was escalating. He had ran out my door twice, where my friend, who luckily at that time my friend was there, so she ran after him so I could take care of my other kids. So we had to get a lock and all this other stuff. And throughout this whole time, we had gone to the doctor and we had put him on medication, Ritalin and this and that. And we had also, he has a hard time going to sleep, so we asked the doctor, what can we give him to help him sleep, because he's not sleeping, which I think in turn is not helping. Anybody who sleeps can be in a bad mood. So the doctor put him on a heavy narcotic, which I was not very keen on, but being that I wanted my son to sleep, I said okay. So we started him on a low, 1 mil, 2 mil. We got up to 5 mils on this narcotic, and he still was not going to sleep. It was like, meh. So between the medications making him worse, he hated life more, he hated us more. He loved to tell me how he wished I was dead, or how he could watch me die. He wanted to push me off the terrace, which was the balcony at the time. He wanted to push me into a volcano so he could watch me burn to death and scream and just sit there and enjoy it. So, very hard for a mother or a father, anybody, to grasp. It was also very hard for me to be nurturing. One, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to help him. And after hearing it so much, you kind of get this, like, I don't want you to touch me even when you are doing okay, because, get out of it. Sorry. Because I don't know, what's coming next, or are you just going to turn on me? We had called the crisis line a couple of times because I could not get him under control, and my husband was at work, and he just blatantly just looked at him like, whatever. So, with all the medications failing, I had one choice left, and it was all the side effects were like, no. So I went ahead and I winged him off of everything. I called our pediatrician and I was like, look, I'm going to try him on melatonin. Me and my husband take it, and valerian root. So we did. I started him off on 1 milligram of melatonin, and that didn't do anything. We went to 5, and that didn't do anything. So I asked the doctor, I said, it's natural, can I up it? And he said yes. So we went ahead and we bought a 5 ml capsule, and we added one at a time to see what would work for him. My son takes 2 5 ml capsules of melatonin to go to bed. Or he takes 1 3 ml of valerian root and I can't even think right now, it's all up in my cupboards, and he takes a 3 and 3 of valerian root and melatonin, or he takes 2 3s of melatonin or the valerian root, and he takes 10 just by itself of melatonin. So that has worked tremendously for him. I took away all red dyes, and that was a big progress too. And we just started monitoring everything. His shows, games, anything. He now can control his tempers. His tantrums are nowhere near as bad. He knows that he can walk off and cool off without anybody following him. So we let him walk off. He can go to his room and shut his door and scream and yell or whatever he needs to do. And then once he's done, he'll come out. We'll talk. He will have a timeout afterwards, but it's okay. He doesn't mind it after he's cooled down and realized that it's not because we don't love him or we don't care about him. So he no longer says any of those horrible things, which is awesome. Some other things that I do in the house to help him with his ADHD and mood. Like I said, I'm not really sure if he really has all of this. I know doctors like to throw everything out and every medication possible. So really analyze your child. But anyways, other things that we like to do in the house is essential oils. I have a diffuser, which I keep going with a blend of stress relief and lavender and anything calming and uplifting for the mood. I also have teas that everybody drinks. Well, okay, my husband doesn't, he don't like tea, but my kids do. All my kids will, so if I can see them starting to stress out, the diffuser goes on. Well, okay, it doesn't go on because I turn it on before they ever come home from school. But teas will come out, and teas come out before bed. So like an hour before bed, they wanted a cup of tea, which is fine with me. They drink their cup of tea, and you know, then my son gets his medication, or well, his melatonin. I call it his medication, so does he. But he's not on any medications as far as Ritalin or anything like that. With a little bit of diet changes, like I said, we took, and really all we did for him was take red dye away, but yellow dye and all red dyes and yellow dyes can technically be really bad for ADHD, ADD, and mood disorders. It's just really not good for any of us. So my suggestion is to try taking that out of the diet and kind of see if things get better. You also kind of have to, this one was hard for me. Like I said, I had started kind of backing off and not really wanting to, I wasn't as connected to him. And it did hurt, but I was tired of being hurt at the same time. So I snapped out of it, and we started having a lot more discussions on other things, not about his behavior. I left that behind, and we talked about things he liked, you know, science and math, and he's really good in school. His grades are great. So we just started talking about other things, and that actually helped him open up a lot, which in turn is great. Sorry, my husband just got up. He works a night shift, so he was sleeping. But I hope some of this was helpful. If you have any questions for me, please leave them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to let you know. I have some tea reviews that I'll be doing on here, and I'll also be showing, probably in my next video, some of the oils and stuff that I purchase to help keep the atmosphere nice and happy. Again, thank you for joining, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below, and I will talk to you all soon.